Skeletons of the Marital Closet by Tang. Chapter 1291. The door suddenly opened slowly. A car drove in. Headlights cut through the night, shining straight on the windows of the living room. The beam of light flashed across Natalie's eyes. She immediately looked outside. Who is here? The sound of steady footsteps. Then Shawn appeared. Natalie immediately stood up excitedly. It's you! You're here! Quick, give me the antidote! Give Arum the antidote! She ran straight toward Shawn like a lunatic. However, when she was 1 meter away from Shawn, the bodyguards stopped her. However, Natalie did not give up. Why do you treat Arum like this? Why? He didn't do anything wrong. At most, he was pleading for me, she yelled. I don't want to go back to his house, Shawn. Lock me up. I'll be alone. Don't let Arum take me away. The emotional Natalie needed 2 bodyguards to restrain her. Moreover, she kept struggling, always wanting to rush to Shawn. It was he who came to look for me. I did not force him to take it, Shawn said lightly and sat down on the sofa gracefully and calmly. The antidote. Give him the antidote. Is that all you can say? You can torture me however you want. I made a mistake, and I will bear it alone. Shawn crossed his legs and asked, You too ate the same kind of poison. Therefore, the antidote can cure the poison on you and Arum. Natalie, will you take the antidote as well? No, Natalie replied without thinking. Really? Are you going to give him the antidote? Yes, I only want him to be safe. Natalie kept nodding. Shawn asked, How do I know if you are telling the truth? How can anyone be willing to die and let others live? Really, it's true. I can guarantee it with my life. Shawn snorted deeply. Unexpectedly, Natalie really loved Arum to the core. No wonder Arum thought of this plan. He glanced at Arum lightly and then looked away without showing any extra emotion. Seeing that Shawn was unmoved, Natalie began to look around, looking around for Gale with an air of aloofness and affection. Why are you here alone? Where's Gale? Doesn't she care about Arum's well-being? Does she know about it? Could it be that she has the heart to watch Arum go through the pain? She asked. Arum is her childhood friend, the one who has been looking for her everywhere, has never given up on her, and has always loved her deeply. Gale, come out. Gale, where are you? Stop shouting, she isn't here, Shawn said. No? Yes, she can't bear to look. Natalie was stunned. So, she knew that Arum had taken the poison? Yes, however, she said that she respects Arum's choice. No, I don't believe that Gale was able to stand by and watch. Arum has helped her so much. Now, when she is needed, she doesn't think about Arum? Shawn raised his wrist and glanced at the time. You should take care of yourself first. It was almost time for the medicine to kick in. Natalie also glanced at the time. The familiar feeling had already spread all over her limbs, but Natalie had never been so afraid before. She was not afraid that she would be tortured. She was afraid that Arum would suffer. Arum! Arum! Chapter 1292. Natalie ran toward him. However, her knee hurt, and she flopped and knelt on the ground. It had started. However, Natalie gritted her teeth and crawled toward him. Arum. Arum covered his heart, and his expression began to become distorted. He was about to start going through the whole process. Natalie looked at him with her mouth half opened, unable to make a sound. Slowly, Natalie's eyes began to bleed. Terrible. She began to roll on the ground, curled up into a ball. Her body was constantly trembling. Her nails pressed hard against the ground till they were bloody. After this was over, She would experience the pain of the wound when she hurt herself. The poison was equivalent to suffering two tortures. Once during an attack, internal injury. Once, in the end, trauma. Aram knelt down on one knee, looking at the ground. His vision gradually turned scarlet, blurring his eyes. He thought it was tears. He raised his hand to wipe it and saw it was bright red. Blood. He looked up at Natalie again. Whatever Natalie looked like now, that was what he looked like. Moreover, he hurt more than her. However, Aram did not make a sound. He gritted his teeth from the beginning to the end. His forehead was dripping with cold sweat. His face was covered with blood, and the corners of his mouth were constantly bleeding. Shawn sat on the sofa and watched the scene. Gale correctly chose not to come. She definitely could not accept the current scene, and she would definitely have nightmares. She could not watch Aram suffer the pain. Aram! Aram! Natalie moved to Aram's side little by little and tremblingly grabbed his wrist. She could not help twitching. Go, find Gale. She will save you. Natalie needed to suppress the huge torment in her body so that she could complete this sentence intermittently. I'm not worth... No, leave me alone. Alone, save me. Her hands fell from Aram's sleeves. She grabbed her hair vigorously, pulling it wantonly. Shawn just watched quietly. No meddling, no interference. Just looking at Natalie's performance, those who had no idea of the situation would think she could sacrifice herself for her lover. Time passed by, minute by minute. In the last 5 minutes, Aram could not hold on any longer. He closed his eyes and fell to the ground, holding his arms with both hands. His nails pinched into his flesh due to too much force. Finally, it was all over. All in all, returned to silence. Aram remained motionless. Chapter 1293. Natalie panted heavily. Shawn stood up and walked to the two of them with steady steps. How does it feel? He asked. Natalie glared at him. You're ruthless, Shawn said. You should be more in pain today than in the past, because Aram is by your side and experienced it with you. Your heart felt like being roasted on a fire, right? You let him go, Shawn. What do you need to let him go? He did not answer but looked at Aram. Is it all right if you would take another dose of the poison? The toxicity will be stronger than Natalie's. With that said, Shawn bent down and stretched out his hands, helping Aram up. Although Shawn looked calm, he admired Aram a little more in his heart. He was a ruthless man. Aram should have known what he was facing when he came up with this plan. Aram leaned on the sofa and said weakly, It's okay. I can bear it. You say that. Do you want to stay with Natalie all the time and go through the pain again? Aram said with difficulty, I can try. No. Aram, hurry up and negotiate with Shawn and take the antidote, Natalie shouted hastily. As she spoke, she raised her hand to wipe the blood on Aram's face. She did not care about her own distress. She only had Aram in her heart. Aram did not answer. Slowly and slowly, he felt better and then slowly opened his eyes. It's hard, Natalie. How did you survive? I'm fine. I can bear it. Fool. Natalie took a deep breath. Why are you so stubborn and refuse to listen to me? Go to Gale and ask Shawn for the antidote. Natalie, aren't you the same? As long as you hand over the antidote, the poison on your body will be cured, Aram said. No. Natalie gritted her teeth, and the smell of blood became stronger. She turned to look at him. Shawn, tell me, What do you want for you to give Aram the antidote? Do you want me to return to your hands, or do you have other goals? After waiting for so long, Natalie finally said this. Shawn said calmly, "If you want to give Aram the antidote, I will do anything." It's very simple. Shawn looked straight into Natalie's eyes, which were very narrow and domineering. You hand over the other half of the antidote, and I will give Aram the antidote right away. Natalie was startled. Shawn did not give her a chance to think and continued to speak. "I know that nothing can threaten you now. After you know your background, you don't even care about the Yarn family. Natalie, what you care about is Aram. You ended up where you were today because Aram doesn't love you. You can't accept reality. It just so happens Aram found me again and proposed to take you by his side. So I came up with this plan. He can take you back to his house. You can't run away anyway, but he needs to take the same poison as you. Now that I have seen it, I am very satisfied." Natalie gritted her teeth and stared at him, wishing to cram his tendons and peel his skin. "You can die. I know you are not afraid of death, but you are afraid that something will happen to Arum, right? You are threatening me with him." Shawn's eyes sharpened, and his aura was so strong that people dared not look directly at him. "That's right. Arum for Nicole." Chapter 1294. Natalie straightened her back just now as if negotiating. After Shawn finished speaking, her body bent down bit by bit, her hands resting on the ground. Shawn grasped her lifeline. Yes, Aram was the person she wanted to protect all her life. She could die, but she hoped Aram would live well. Just like she knew that Nicole was the Achilles heel of Shawn and Gale, Aram was hers. Speechless? Shawn raised his eyebrows sincerely. "It seems you are unwilling to hand over the remaining half of the antidote. You don't love Aram as much as you said. You are just acting like you love him very much." Natalie, I hope you undo Nicole's spell, because you know you are wrong and want to repent. Not because you are threatened and forced to hand over the antidote because of me," Aram said. He said this on purpose to increase Natalie's guilt. Shawn glanced at him. That was unexpected. Seeing that Natalie was already wavering, Aram added that, making Natalie think that he was thinking of her so much and loved her even more. Then they would have a higher chance of getting the antidote. Sure enough, Natalie was fooled. "Aram, you are still thinking about saving me and bringing me back from the lost path? Don't you care about the poison in your body?" Natalie was so moved that she kept crying. "I hope you can go back, start again, and be a normal person." "Why? You obviously don't love me. We have been engaged for so many years, and you haven't touched me. But at this time, you haven't given up on me," Natalie asked in a murmur. Aram replied, "Because we grew up together. Although for 20 years, the person in my heart has always been Gale, you are by my side and the person who gave me happiness in my youth. There is no love romantically, but there is love platonically. Natalie, I have already treated you as my younger sister." Sister. That's why you haven't touched me all this time? You don't have any romantic thoughts about me at all? You can't do it. Aram coughed, and a few strands of blood leaked from the corner of his mouth. Although he was much quieter during the attack than Natalie, he felt like shit. He was silently enduring it with willpower and endurance. "And I have always wanted to give myself to you, always. But no matter how I hint at you, you will not be moved." Natalie said with a wry smile. Natalie, cough, cough, cough. Aram wanted to say something, but he kept coughing. He began to vomit blood, and his clothes were soon stained red. Seeing this situation, Natalie panicked. She did not care about settling old scores and quickly stroked his face. Aram, Aram! Shawn, what's wrong with him? Why does he keep coughing up blood? She questioned. Didn't you notice that he was very quiet when he was poisoned? Didn't he keep abusing himself like you did? It's because he was suppressing and enduring. Now, the internal injury he suffered just now began to show. Is something going to happen? Will Aram die? Shawn stood beside her leisurely. I'm not sure. What? However, as long as he takes the antidote in time, he will be fine. Natalie, think about it carefully, Shawn said. He turned and left. It was time for him to leave too. Leave the rest to Aram. Rather than constantly asking Natalie for the remaining half of the antidote, a better solution was for Natalie to offer the antidote on her own initiative. Chapter 1295. That way, Shawn would have the upper hand. Don't go, Shawn, Natalie shouted. He did not look back. I said, if you want to save Arum, you must first save my daughter, Nicole. Soon, Shawn left. The footsteps went away. Arum coughed and vomited blood non-stop. Natalie was so frightened that she forgot the pain in her body and was only worried about him. It's okay, It's okay. I won't die for a while. Aram comforted her. You can't die. You are not allowed to die. Aram, I won't let you die either. Aram did not speak anymore and just looked at her quietly. What should be said has been said many, many times. She understood everything. Natalie also looked at him. I know you don't love me, but I still love you. Natalie smiled bitterly. Aram, I have persisted for so long. Could it be that you will defeat me? Aram understood what she was saying. She persisted in not giving the antidote and withstood the heavy pressure from Shawn, seeing that Shawn was almost at the end of her rope. However, Shawn started to target Aram, which made her lose her senses all of a sudden. However, Aram did not respond. If he talked too much, it would arouse her suspicion. Natalie, how are you? Can you still walk? Aram held his heart and stood up unsteadily. I'll go find the medicine box and treat your wound. Natalie looked down at herself. It doesn't matter. I can't die anyway. Natalie smiled wryly. She turned around. I'll get you a bandage. Obviously, she could not stand well herself, but she still missed Aram and wanted to take care of him. Aram could only sigh. If he could get the antidote, he would find a way to give Natalie a chance for sure, as long as she was willing to give it. What would she do if she knew that he took the poison to trick her into giving the other half of the antidote? Would she accept her fate wisely in exchange for a glimmer of life, or would she retaliate and resist even crazily? Natalie, I just hope you don't want to compete with Shawn anymore. How could you win him? How is it possible? Outside Aram's villa, Shawn was greeted by his driver. The driver opened the back seat door. Chapter 1296. Gale was in the back seat. She had been waiting there. How is it? Is he okay? Gale looked sideways at him. Shawn pursed his lips deeply. You should know, Gale. He knew she was worried and concerned, so he did not say much. She had also seen Natalie when she was in a fit. Gale's heart twitched. I hope that Natalie will give the antidote quickly and take the initiative to negotiate with us. Aram can save a day of suffering. Natalie loves Aram more than you do. So, is there any progress today? Will she give up the antidote? If she is so distressed, why can't she bear to delay for another day? She can't, Gale asked eagerly. Before he finished speaking, Shawn reached out and pulled her into his arms. She cared so much about Aram. The worry and anxiety in her eyes were very obvious. Shawn felt uncomfortable. However, he had no choice. Aram's trick not only took advantage of Natalie's love, but also won a wave of goodwill and love from Gale. The two women were worried about him. Wait a little longer. He already had an episode today, and there are still 24 hours before the next attack. We will see the situation tomorrow. Shawn's voice was low and hoarse, a little dull. It all depended on what Natalie thought. If she had figured it out earlier, then Aram would have been freed earlier. He may not need to suffer twice. Gale leaned quietly in his arms. I'm already here, but I dare not go in because I don't want to see Aram in such pain. Shawn, he is doing this for a daughter. I know. He also wants to save Natalie again. Gale raised her head and looked at his sharp jaw. If Natalie gave Nicole the antidote, Aram will beg you for mercy. Will you let her go? Shawn asked. Gaily, will you let her go? He returned the question directly to her. It was not a question of whether or not Natalie would be let go, but whether she would agree to Aram's request. Aram would definitely plead for Natalie again. Gale was immediately stunned by the question. Of course, she hated Natalie, loathed. Not only because of what Natalie did to Nicole, but also because of her half-sister status. Gale felt disgusted just thinking about this blood relationship. Natalie's mother was even more disgusting. She knew she was a mistress, but she still wanted to give birth to an illegitimate daughter, destroying other people's marriages. Gale could not answer. You didn't think about it either, gaily. I won't let her go. Absolutely not. Shawn sighed deeply. His tone was very firm and determined. Shawn changed the subject again. But I want to respect your opinion, Gaily. We are married. We can discuss anything and understand each other instead of me making a decision alone. Gale unconsciously tugged at his shirt. After a long silence, Shawn said, I used to be able to make any decisions by myself without having to be responsible or explain to anyone. It's different now. I have you, Gaily. He wanted to take her feelings into consideration. Gale's thoughts are more important than his own. After thinking about it, Gale replied, Let's take another look at Natalie's attitude at the end. If she's still so obsessed, Aram can't protect her. Shawn hugged her deeply without making a sound. I owe Aram, not Natalie. Gale raised her hand and clung to his back. Shawn, I can't ignore your feelings and act recklessly. You can obviously do whatever you want. Shawn had given her the power. She did not squander it. No, you think about me, and I also think about you. It's mutual, Gale said. Chapter 1297. It was not about making unilateral decisions. As soon as he finished speaking, Shawn had already pressed his lips down heavily. His breath was extremely unstable. Because of what she said, she fiercely tugged at Shawn's heartstrings. He wanted to kiss her, to truly confirm that she was in his arms. Gale was a little shy. The driver's still, Shawn held at the back of her head with one hand and pressed the button with the other. The screen slowly lowered, completely blocking the view of the front and rear seats. This time, no one will see it, Shawn said in a hoarse voice, leaving her lips slightly. You. She had just opened his mouth to say a word, and his kiss was deeper and more ferocious. Gale could not stand it at all and fell down on the back seat. She was breathlessly kissed. Moreover, Gale recalled that night again, when she and Shawn were in a daze. Afterward, she still did not feel anything at all, as if she was drunk and fragmented. Just at the time of deep affection, the phone rang suddenly. Shawn did not respond. Why would he answer any calls at this time? The phone rang for a while, then stopped. Then, after 2 seconds of silence, it rang again. Gale pushed his chest. Phone. Ignore it. Shawn was also disturbed by the ringtone. He looked at the screen and found it was a call from the housekeeper of Temperley Hall. Shawn frowned. Gale also saw the caller ID. Generally speaking, if Shawn did not answer the phone, the housekeeper would not call again unless there was something very important and urgent. The two looked at each other. Shawn got up and sat down again, picked up Gale and let her lean in his arms. Hello? There was also a hoarseness in his voice. Mr. Wood, Miss Nicole has been crying and said she wants to see Mommy. I asked her to do a video call, but she refused, saying that she must see her, said the housekeeper very anxiously. What? Nicole started looking for Mommy. They knew Nicole would switch back and forth between the state of sobriety and the poisoned state. In the past few days after taking the antidote, Nicole was sober. Now, she has started to be controlled by the spell again. Gale's heart sank. She looked at Shawn flusteredly. What should I do? Go home and check the situation first. I look like this. I definitely can't go to see Nicole directly. It will only irritate her more. Gale touched her face. Chapter 1298. Shawn quickly thought of a plan. You enter the house through the back door and go upstairs to put on makeup first. I'll go to appease Nicole first. After a pause, he said, I've wronged you. Gale shook her head. I'm not wronged. Shawn held her hand deeply. The car stopped at the back door of Temperley Hall, and Gale got out of the car quickly. Shawn's expression was grim. Entering the living room, Nicole was sitting on the sofa, her head drooping on her shoulders, shrugging. The coffee table was filled with all kinds of desserts and snacks, which Nicole usually likes to eat. Now, she was not interested in any of that either. On the carpet, there were many beautiful dolls piled up, but Nicole still did not even look at them. Shawn walked over and sat down next to her. Nicole, the housekeeper called me and said you are acting out. What's wrong? Nicole raised her head. Her eyes were red. Obviously, she was crying, and there were still teardrops on her eyelashes. Daddy, where have you been? At the company. I'm busy with work and have been working overtime until now, Shawn said. Nicole did not believe him. Is it really work? Really. Didn't you go to see that bad woman? I remember that you are still in contact with her, Nicole asked. Shawn pursed his lips deeply. Nicole was really confused again. He stretched out his hand to hold Nicole in his arms. In Daddy's heart, of course, Nicole is more important. And Mommy. Mommy and I are also very important in Daddy's heart, Nicole added. Yes, so Daddy will definitely choose you and Mommy, completely cut off contact with that bad woman, and never see each other again. Seeing Shawn's swearing promise and his sincere expression, Nicole slowly let go of her guard. But I haven't seen Mommy for a long time. I want to see her, Nicole said. Okay, let her call you later. I want a video. Shawn also responded. Okay. Nicole wiped the corners of her eyes and calmed down. Shawn took a look at the housekeeper. Go contact her and ask her to video call Nicole, he ordered. The housekeeper was stunned for a few seconds but quickly realized. Yes, Mr. Wood. I will arrange it right away. Miss Nicole, please wait a moment. Arrange properly, Shawn urged. Don't worry, Mr. Wood. The housekeeper left in a hurry and went to contact Winnie's bodyguard with a solemn expression. He hoped nothing would go wrong. At this time, Gale also went downstairs. She reapplied her ugly old makeup. Nicole, what's the matter? You haven't seen Daddy for a while and you lost your temper? She said with a soft voice and a smile. Nicole blinked and looked at her. Mrs. Anne, are you hungry? There are so many snacks. Why don't you eat some of it? Usually, if you want to eat, your father won't allow it for fear that your teeth will spoil. I have no appetite. With that said, Nicole shrank into Shawn's arms again. She did not even care about Mrs. Anne. She just wanted to rely on her father. Gale also noticed it. She looked sad, but she did not say anything. Shawn hugged Nicole deeply, with his palm against her back. In the living room, there was a moment of silence. Chapter 1299. Gale was also idle, so she began to tidy up the things on the coffee table. Every 2 minutes, she could hear Nicole asking, Daddy, when will Mommy make a video call? Shawn always replied, Soon, wait. It took half an hour when finally Shawn's cell phone rang. Nicole was suddenly full of energy and immediately jumped out of Shawn's arms. Is it Mommy? Yes. Shawn pressed the answer button. Soon, Winnie's face appeared in the video. Only the face was shown. Mommy! Mommy, where are you now? Why don't you send me a picture? Nicole shouted happily. Did you have so much fun that you forgot that you still have a daughter? Mommy, do you miss me? You have to remember to call me every night before going to bed. I've been waiting every day. Winnie's gaze was dull. Her expression was very stiff, a little absent-minded. After about 10 seconds, she said, Oh, got it. Very nonchalant. After the miscarriage of the child in Winnie's womb, she became completely insane. Every day, she kept talking about her child, saying that she gave birth to the heir of the Wood family, that she was going to be successful and other crazy things. In this video, Winnie was able to appear quietly on the screen without going crazy or acting strange, which was already considered rare. It could be seen that the housekeeper and bodyguards have tried their best. Nicole sensed something was wrong. Daddy, Mommy is a little strange, Shawn replied. Really? I don't see it. I said so much, but she only replied with 3 words. Nicole looked lonely again. Maybe it's because she's busy, so it's not convenient to talk to you. You've already seen her, so we won't bother her, okay? Shawn comforted her. Nicole disagreed and reached out to snatch the phone. She kept waving her hands to attract Winnie's attention. Mommy, look at me. Don't you miss me at all? Where are you? Winnie was still stoic. Under Nicole's non-stop yelling and after being threatened by the people over there, she shivered and stared at the screen quickly. Winnie and Nicole's eyes met. Mommy! Winnie suddenly turned her face on the screen. Girl? How could it be a girl? I'm pregnant with a son. Son! I want a boy. What's the use of a girl? Only a son can legitimately inherit the Woods family's assets. Who are you? You are not my child. Winnie was about to say something, but the screen shook, and suddenly there was no sound. Nicole was stunned. She suddenly looked up at Shawn. Daddy, what is Mommy talking about? Gale was sweating. Fortunately, Shawn replied without changing his expression. She was talking to someone else. Nicole was dubious. However, at this moment, a scream came from the phone and then fell silent again. Shawn quickly cut off the video. Okay, you have seen Mommy. It's time to rest. Is that scream just now from Mommy? No. Nicole suddenly became very firm. Yes, that was her voice. She was screaming. Chapter 1300. Shawn denied more firmly than her. No, you heard wrong. The father and daughter confronted each other. Nicole did not refute him but said, "Then I will call again." She went to get Shawn's cell phone again, but Shawn held it up high, preventing her from touching it at all. Saying this, Gale immediately stepped forward, knelt down, and gently persuaded, "Nicole, your mom is busy right now. Don't disturb her. When she is free tomorrow, you can call her again." Nicole just looked at Shawn without saying a word. Her eyes were full of stubbornness. Obviously, she did not want to just leave. She wanted to make another video call. She and Shawn looked at each other for a few seconds, then looked away. He could be hard-hearted to anyone, but not to these two girls in front of her. "Time to go to bed. We will call her tomorrow." "You're still lying to me. Mommy screamed in fear just now, but you didn't care about her at all. Instead of asking what happened to her, you just hung up." "Daddy, you are hiding something from me," Nicole said. "I am not." "Tell me, where is Mommy?" Shawn still insisted. "She's on vacation." Although Nicole knew it was fake, she had no choice. She cried and cried. What more could she do? "Call again, just one more time. I want to make sure Mommy is safe now," Nicole said. Shawn did not back down. "I said tomorrow." "Why can't you do it today?" "Nicole, you have to be good." Nicole's big watery eyes quickly filled with tears. "You always say I have to be good, but don't I have the right to be naughty once? Not even once?" Nicole asked. "Daddy, we must call Mommy again. I care about her, and I fear something will happen to her. Although you and that woman are no longer in touch, I also feel you don't love Mommy anymore. Dad, you have changed your mind. To love someone is to want to be with her every day." Nicole was still young. Her understanding of love was to be together. Daddy and Mommy have been separated for so long, neither meeting nor calling. Something must be wrong. "Are you and Mommy divorced? But you were afraid that I would be sad, so you didn't tell me?" Nicole guessed. Shawn shook her head deeply. "Stop thinking about it, Nicole." Nicole still looked stubborn. Shawn could not find a mommy for her now. It was rare for the crazy Winnie to even put up with the video call earlier. "Go to sleep." Shawn picked up Nicole with one hand and went straight upstairs. He thought that Nicole would cry, push him away, punch and kick him, make all kinds of trouble, but he did not expect. Nicole was quiet. She was like a doll with no expression. Gale helped her take a bath. "Nicole, you..." "Mrs. Ann, hurry up. I still have to sleep." "Okay." Nicole was obedient and silent.